You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. welcoming you to the lap of the extra mile for today, March the 3rd, 2022. Well, the next-gen car for NASCAR had its first test at the Auto Club Speedway, and for the most part, it passed with flying colors. For two of us, I think one of us maybe feel a little bit different, and we'll have a lot to talk about on that. But first, I need to bring in my co-hosts, Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward.
How's it going tonight, fellas?
Not too bad. I was playing Assetto Corsa before the show happened, and I did a 1 hour race, but I got taken out by a lap car. Let's just say I hate BMW for a good little bit.
I think Kevin Harvick can relate to what you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get into this race. And we can start with NASCAR. Well, first, we do want to give our continued wishes for all of those out there in Ukraine with things that are going on. But we're going to start with NASCAR. We're going to have a special guest here because one of our members was actually at the race. Get him in here. Because Mr. Larry B was at the race. We're going to see if we can get him in here. But while we do that, why don't you guys talk about your thoughts about the race? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the racing under green, I think we saw what we needed to see out of the next-gen car.
Yeah. It was pretty good. Cars were able to race. Although there was a lot of spins. And also people hitting the wall, but I guess that's because they were trying to find like the quickest, not the quickest line, but like the part of the track where they were faster at, I guess you can say.
And Michael, I'm going to interrupt you just a moment because I've got our special guest, wait for him to connect to audio. The boss man here at iSports Radio, Mr. Larry B, was actually at the Auto Club Speedway for the Wise Power 400. So he's going to give us his eyes-on perspective of the event. Larry, welcome, and how was the race? Also, I'm totally jealous.
Hey, what's going on, Daryl? Hello, Chris, and hello, Michael, and hello, iSports Radio listeners. You guys are awesome, man. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you.
I haven't heard from you in so long.
I know. I literally haven't talked to Michael, I think, in probably over a year.
Has it really been over a year?
Maybe not a year, but a long time. I mean, my gosh, guys, I can't believe like how busy things have gotten, and like, oh my goodness, when you're just, I'm just happy that everything's going so well, and so many things are going, and you guys keep everything going so well. Like, iSports Radio with you guys, it's like it's like you guys run it like your own way, every one of you, and it's like the thing runs itself. So in my absences, I just want to thank you guys for just making things as awesome as it could possibly get, and thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us, dude. We've had a lot of fun here over the last couple of years, and Taryn just mentioned something important. We're actually coming up to episode 200 soon.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Well, I'll tell you, me too. And Daryl, Chris, Michael, I'll tell you what, man. Being at the Auto Club, again, is just one of the happiest moments of the year. I love that track. That track, when I bought NASCAR Heat 5, I must have played that. I've raced that race like freaking hundreds of times already. Like, it's just wonderful. I love it. And this track this weekend, it was just another reason why I love it so much. There was so much going on. First things first, I don't know how you want me to break it down, but when we got there a tad bit late, during the national anthem. We were walking up and everything. We were parking and everything. But right when the engines got fired, we were walking in and getting checked through security and everything. We were running up, and Cecilia hasn't been the best health wise. I think she's had a rough go the last couple of about the last month, but she's feeling a little bit better. And we got up and she had to run on into the bathroom, so she ran to the bathroom, you guys, and we are probably about 3 minutes away from our seats. Of course, I mean, we have to, walk a little ways down, but we're walking over and, oh my gosh, you guys, she's never been to a race. She doesn't really, NASCAR is so new to her. So she has to run to the bathroom, and I'm sitting there waiting, and you guys, I hear them saying, all right, next time around. Here, I'm like, like, it's that feeling. Like, no one understands unless you're there. And this is something that I love each and every year, you guys. When they drop that green flag and you get 40 of these cars rev that sucker to almost 9,000 RPMs, it feels like, okay? I mean, when you feel that and you hear them and you can scream to a person that is literally not even 5 inches away from you and you can't hear them or they can't hear you, it's just a feeling that, oh, it's amazing. Everything rumbles and they take off. So I run over to the gate, and that's where I got the image you guys saw. Like on this, actually on the first lap, of course, they dropped the green flag. The video that I posted on my Twitter, and oh my gosh, you guys, they dropped that green flag and they were gone. And just what a feeling. Of course, she came out. I showed her that, and then she was like, wow, I know, right? So we run up to our seats, we sit down, and we actually sat kind of closer to the bottom. I don't know if you guys can tell some of the videos I took. We sat really, we were right there on the very bottom, and we were also next to a tunnel. So realistically, it wasn't the greatest places to sit. We should have sat higher, but we sat lower. It was okay. I was right in front of William Byron's, right in front of his pit. It was awesome. We were right there. And of course, Daryl, you know me, I inherited the car. I mean, it could have been anybody that took that car. It's in William Byron's a good young man. I'm a fan of his. He's a great guy, good youngster, but it's Gordon. So when Byron took over the car, I was like, well, I guess I'm all for Byron now. Of course, I got my other favorites, Suarez. I got my Bubba Wallace. I mean, just guys that I just love to cheer on. And seeing this race was absolutely incredible in person. This is kind of funny, you guys. So we're sitting right next to a couple. They're younger. They've got to be in their early 20s, maybe mid 20s, and they're Logano fans. And it's funny because you couldn't really tell, but Logano was having a kind of a weird little race. But it's funny because I thought they were cheering on. They were cheering on Chase Elliott, because the guy right in front of us, sitting directly below us, was a Chase Elliott fan. So it was funny because Chase Elliott starts out so fast. Like, the guy looked like he was going to just run the entire race out front.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he hits the wall.
It just went downhill from there.
Well, that just shows how hard these cars are to drive, and that's kind of where I want to get into it.
Well,
when about 5 laps in, it looked like, they can actually make passes and we don't have to worry about the dirty air anymore. And it made for an entertaining race, but it also made for a challenging race because these cars are not easy to handle at all.
Yeah, as I was saying in the beginning of the show, I was noticing a lot of people just spinning out today.
It was crazy, you guys. It was, and just seeing that. So it's kind of funny. So this gets really funny. I promise I'll shorten it up. This is actually pretty funny. So we're sitting here watching the race, and I'm cheering on. I'm telling Cecilia, cheer on 24. She's like, okay. So she's cheering on. And of course, I mean, in Southern California, like I told you before, Daryl, honestly, dude, I had no idea that racism was a thing until I learned about it in school. You know what I mean? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So, of course, you got just tons of people there of all colors, as per usual, whenever it's California. And it's cool because everybody it's crazy because the diversity is so great there that you got all these fans cheering on all these different drivers, and Bubba was a big favorite, or some people cheering him on. Suarez, of course, was a big favorite. You've seen a ton of Latinos there, and they were cheering him on. A lot of people, and me, of course. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love him, but my driver, William Byron, of course. And I guess I really, 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 really enjoyed seeing all that. And these people, Daryl, it's just so great to see Southern Californians so into this. So Chase Elliott runs, but somehow just sideswipes the wall, and it's like the wall took like horsepower from him or something. I don't know what happened to him after that, but he was done. Then it's crazy because Riddick gets out front, and the crowd, like, who is this? Like, it's funny because so many people didn't even know who it was. Like, out front, they was like, that's a fast car.
That was the crazy thing. I noticed so many people that I don't usually see fighting for the win, out fighting for the win.
Well, that's what the car was trying to do. That's what this car was trying to do, make it a little bit more even so that those guys who are not used to seeing race up front actually get a chance to race up front.
Yeah,
this car seems to suit Reddick.
I think I said in the chat, like, I never thought I would see the 43 actually race for a win again.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Absolutely. And see, that's exactly the point, Daryl. You got me immediately. That's exactly the point. Because everyone's like, who is that? And I'm like, that's Riddick. He's freaking fast. His car looks dominant. So, of course.
Reddick should have won that race, honestly.
Well, he should have. And then out of nowhere, Byron gets the lead. And I'm like, yes. And then out of nowhere, a stupid caution happens. And, well, that ended. And then you find himself kind of back. And then I'm just kind of speeding through the race. But, Riddick looked like he was going to win this thing. A tire goes down. Byron was complaining. I heard it because we were also watching on Hulu TV on our phone. And it was the reception wasn't that bad. But then again, it was not that good either.
Excuse me.
So you heard complaining from William Byron about tightness. And what happens? Riddick's tire pops, and William Byron wants to play Crash Car Derby over here, and he just hits him. So I'm like, oh, come on. So I get mad, you guys. Funny story. I felt so bad. I'm sitting there with my popcorn, and I get all mad. We had a little thing of kettle corn, and I got mad. When Byron wrecked, everyone stood up. You guys, I had the popcorn in my hand, and Cecilia and I were sharing. And when Byron crashed in the back straight, we all stood up. It's like, no! And I got mad, and my popcorn, you guys, it flew everywhere.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
Not the kettle corn.
I know. Cecilia was like, what the heck? I'm like, I'm sorry.
Not the darn near $5 kettle corn.
$10, you guys.
Oh my God!
Oh Lord!
Oh, that's a pain.
It was at the bottom. Okay, it was at the bottom. But so William Byron was done. I was mad. The guy in front of me. Now this is where the guy in front of me. He has a Chase Elliott hat on. He's actually from Virginia. He was telling me he's from Virginia. He said he didn't like Richmond. I'm like, you don't like Richmond? He's like, no. I'm like, wow, okay. So, but he's telling me that.
To be fair, Richmond hasn't been good the last couple of years.
Oh, then that's understood. But he was telling me. He's over here for work. He really likes this track. He's enjoying it. I'm like, I know, right? So we start talking, and he was like, William Byron fan, huh? I'm like, yeah, this is our day's over. And he started laughing. So he was like, I guess so, right? So we all started laughing. And the young people next to us, the youngsters, the young couple, they were all like cheering on Logano. And long story short, after this, I'll sum it all up. It was funny because this was honestly, you guys, I don't know if you even know, if you guys know more than I do about what happened, but there was a restart in stage 3 where Chase Elliott was back out front, and he went so low. And the guy in front of me from Virginia was cracking me up because he was like, oh my gosh, he's back out front. I'm like, I know. I'm like, can you imagine if he won this thing? He's like, I know. He was laps down and whatever. It's like, I know. We were cracking up. Out of nowhere, he's back towards the front. We're like, oh my gosh, you guys. If Chase Elliott, oh, never mind. Oh, he's 5th, 6th, 7th, 17th. 25th. Wow, he's a lap down, and he wrecked. Okay, never mind. You guys, it was like watching a stone fall in the water. Chase Elliott just it's like Chase Elliott. I don't know what happened,
Did you see the moment where he slammed the door off the hinges on somebody?
No.
No, but I did see Kyle Larson slam the door on the hinges
on
him. But
that was
Chase Elliott's day, I think, single-handedly proved how strong these cars are. Because he hit the wall hard twice and was still able to come back and have a chance to win until his teammate put him in the wall a third time.
It's like, you guys. And then at the end of the day, we get the last restart, and what happens? Suarez finds himself out there. You guys, I don't know if you can hear it through the TV, but the crowd went absolutely insane. Like, they went.
I was so hopeful for Suarez.
People, you guys, the stands were up. There was not a person sitting down. People were like, "Go Suarez, vamos Suarez!" Like, people were cheering him on. And he looked good. And, of course, right on the last lap, man, I don't know, Kyle Larson summoned the Intimidator somehow because he made that pass on the bottom of the apron, and he was gone, you guys. Like, the couple next to us were cheering on Logano, and it was so sad because they were like, "Go, Logano." No. Like, it was just – poor guy. And Kyle Larson, you guys, just pulled away. And the wreck happened right in front of us at the end where the car – I don't know who it was, but somebody went through the grass and slammed into the pit wall.
Oh, that was Haley. Yeah, Haley hit that wall a ton.
Oh, my gosh, you guys. I've never seen, like, a big accident still. I mean, we've seen tons of spin-outs. And when the heck did Keselowski stop driving the 2? I guess I forgot. But anyway, so that happened. And you guys, that last turn, like the last lap, it's like you knew nobody was going to catch him. And boom, he was gone. And it was just amazing. It was awesome seeing, he didn't really do a burnout. I thought he was going to burn him down, but he didn't. And then that was it. We hung out for a little bit and then went on home. But you guys, I just want to say it was magical. It was awesome being there at the Auto Club for the first time in over 2 years or in 2 years. And it was just a big deal. And honestly, I was so happy. So with that said, you guys, great race. And the last thing I wanted to say is because I don't know if you guys have heard anything, but I was so angry. You guys know I was angrier than angry about the whole reconstruction of the track. But the guy from Virginia told me that apparently they lost the funding for that, so it's going to stay how it is. I don't know if you guys heard anything, but that's it.
I heard they were talking about it was basically on hiatus because, COVID and everything. And then after how this race was, I don't see them making the change at all.
I'm happy.
Same.
I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys, that was a great race. And just being there was special. It was wonderful. Everybody gets united, everyone enjoying it. And, just it made me so happy to just know that racing was back in Fontana. The amount of people there, you guys, was just awesome. And in conclusion, we're excited to go back. I mean, I'm so mad that we don't get another race for the playoffs. Like, but in conclusion, it was a great race. We enjoyed ourselves. And I don't even care if the kettle corn was $10. It was a great race.
I enjoyed it. Seeing all the different cars up there in the top 10 at one point really shows what the car was built to do, which was even the playing field up a little bit. And I think that worked. But the main problems that we were talking about, one of the issues, of course, was the issues with the tires, with the flat tires causing a lot of guys to have to be towed back. That is a situation that NASCAR is looking into, but it's not going to be – it's something we're going to have to deal with short term, but it's not something sustainable we can deal with in the long term.
Daryl, I heard that from the guy in front of me. I'm telling you, the guy that was sitting right in front of us from Virginia, he's a big-time – you can tell. I mean, the guy is a big-time NASCAR fan. And he was even saying, I said, how do you like the new car? And he says, I love it. Because, of course, we were screaming to each other during the race. But he was telling me, he's like, I love it. But these tires, he's like, dude, I was like, I know last week, of course, the 500, showed some of that. He says, yeah, man. He says, these tires suck. He says, it's like, I like the car. He's like, but this is a problem. Like, I know. So we did see a lot of that. I mean, overall, I don't know. I like the racing. I like it a lot. We saw a guy who has never raced the Cup Series last 2 weeks ago now, win it on his very first try as a rookie. This past week, Riddick, somebody who doesn't even, I'm telling you, people were puzzled of who he even was. If his tire wouldn't have popped, he probably would have won this thing. I mean, so the playing field is incredible. Like how you said, Daryl, it's opened up. But I don't know. I mean, what do you feel personally? What do you guys think, of course, about this tire issue? Is this something that you feel is horribly going to screw things up, or what do you think?
My opinion is that the tires themselves, I think that it was a track that we haven't been to in 2 years, so we lost a lot of the rubber that was laid down. It's a very abrasive track to begin with. So I would like to see. I'm not going to say anything about the tire until we get to Vegas, which is not quite as abrasive of a surface. But I think the bigger issue is when you get a flat tire, you go 3 laps down, and you have to get towed. I think that is a big issue that definitely needs to be addressed immediately.
It is something they have to address, but I don't know, really. We're not going to see anything in the short term, I don't think, but they've got to figure out something to do to figure it out before we get to the end of the season, especially the playoffs, because it could end up costing somebody a chance at the championship.
And that's what we don't want. That's exactly what we don't want. So, I mean, I hope it gets corrected. But at the end of the day, man, this racing was so awesome. It was just a great day. I mean, Celia and I were getting ready, actually, watching the Firestone Grand Prix. And it was funny because she was like, okay, so who are they? She's all like, they're already racing? I'm like, no. It's like, it's just so much about auto sports, of course, I'm showing her. And then I'm like, no. I said, this is IndyCar. I said, not to be confused with Formula One. They almost look the same. And she was like, okay, like it was just pretty funny, but I was like, yeah, so we got to enjoy that race, which, man, of course I don't want to go into something else. I know you guys are going to be going to IndyCar soon and everything, but man, I thought Paulo was going to have that at the end, but great job, man, my McLaughlin. But regardless, that was great to see that and then get over there for NASCAR and just overall, you guys, it was a great day of racing. Even the Gator Nats were awesome. But certainly, the Arizona Nats, sorry, not the Gator Nats, but certainly just a wonderful thing to have racing back in California. And I just, guys, I hope this track gets another race. I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to sound like that, but man, I hope we get another race sometime in the year again, maybe a playoff race or something, because there's some great racing there. And just the lanes, I mean, there's so many lanes, there's so many places to run. I mean, spotters must have a field day in this race.
They definitely earn their paycheck, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, they definitely do. So, but yeah, you guys, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it as much as we did, and we can't wait to go back. Next year is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to sit way higher next time, of course. So I definitely want to show Celia the whole track because we could see we were right on the opposite side of the stripe. Right on the, a little bit further down from the stripe, and we were right there, turn 1 and 2. We can see turn 1, turn 2 disappeared, but if the drivers are right in the high line over the pits, you can see them into turn 2. The back straight was a no-go. Turn 3 didn't exist for us, but if we stared at what was the building that was blocking turn 3 enough, the cars would emerge again in turn 4. So that's what we got.
Yep. Well, the top 5 of the Wise Power 400. This is a top 5 I would not have expected. Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon, Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, Joey Logano was the top 5. Definitely not the drivers. There's 2 drivers in there that I said would have been in the top 5, and the 3 that were 2 through 4 would not have been one of them. Just going to be honest.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, totally agree.
So we'll see how things shake out coming up this week in Vegas. Austin Cindric continues to lead the points by 8 over for teammate Joey Logano, and Martin Truex Jr. is third, Ryan Blaney fourth, Chase Briscoe fifth. That is how the points shake out after 2, but of course, long, long way to go until then. So we are going to take a break. Larry, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to get ready to go into IndyCar and Formula One, so we'll take a little bit of a break. But before then, of course, we want to thank our sponsors, and that includes the Southern California Warriors. And folks, the world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. Follow them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, and Facebook at Southern California Warriors. Thank you so much for Southern California Warriors for sponsoring IE Sports Radio, and we will be right back after this.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of thunderous spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
To the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world, from the English Premier League to the World Cup to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
Businesses, do you need to bring on a new hire on? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him help you make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crime such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. Follow them on social media at bcint.com and Facebook at Background Check International. So we're back here on Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your feed for all that is sports. Daryl, Chris, and Michael with you this evening. We're going to get into some Formula One news and IndyCar for the second half of the program. And we're going to start, of course, with the situation in Formula One as it pertains to the ongoing invasion of Ukraine, which has now entered its 8th day, and a disturbing new series of events are currently unfolding there in the country. Although, judging by a video I have here, I think the worst may have been avoided. But the Russian Grand Prix has been officially canceled. There will no longer be any more Formula One in Russia due to the ongoing conflict. And there is rumors that Nikita Mazepin may not be in that car, in the Haas F1 car this season, partially due to the sanctions that are going to affect both him and his father, Dmitry Mazepin, who is one of the oligarchs that have been caught up in these just absolutely devastating economic sanctions that have been passed out by the United States and the European Union. And we do not know what that means for Mazepin's future in Formula One. He does owe Russia a year of military service, as all males do in Russia. Given the fact he's not in the car and that he does going to have to owe that 1 year, there is a possibility he could end up having to go in some capacity to participate in the current invasion of Ukraine, which we hope not to see. Because as I was saying on the break, I don't exactly like the guy, but I don't want him to end up in this mess.
Yeah. I think that's understandable.
Yeah, I think the guy should be in prison, not in war.
Yeah.
And we will keep you updated on those situations, or the situation as it develops. But talking about Formula One, there's a whole lot of news we got to get to. First, we've got the new contract for Max Verstappen, 5-year extension, $55 million, basically paid on the same level as Lewis Hamilton. Gonna be exciting to see how those two drivers get along. Verstappen is pretty much the heir to the F1 throne once Lewis, or Sir Lewis, I guess we call him now, finally decides to step away from the sport. But right now, the Formula One teams all dealing with the issue of weight and being over the minimum weight for the cars, to the point that Red Bull is asking for that limit to be raised. Now, the scuttlebutt on the paddock is 8 of the 10 teams are currently overweight to a degree we are not exactly sure on. But, guys, this is kind of one of the problems with the new cars of trying to get them set to the rules. That they have been getting heavier, and with the new budget cap, you can't really use a lot of those lightweight parts that you would to make the cars lighter due to how much money it would cost against that cap.
Yeah. And for anybody who is wondering why there's weight issues, we switched to a bigger tire, and with that, you switch to a bigger brake caliper. And for anybody wondering, these cars are obviously lightweight to begin with. They don't weigh very much. But if you've never held a brake caliper in your hand, you would probably not understand why that just going to a bigger size brake caliper can change the weight of the car when you figure you've got 4 of them. I mean, these things are heavy. And so something that was kind of the battle cry almost of why these cars are overweight is that the tires are bigger, the brakes are bigger, some of the components in the suspension are a little bit heavier duty, specifically for crashes, and that's just a safety thing set forth by the FIA. Everybody's kind of going to have to deal with the same thing, but it's when you've got 8 out of 10 teams that are overweight and seemingly can't budget to get lower, lighter weight materials that are just as strong and safe, you have to look at the rule book and decide whether four cars are going to race all season long, or if you're going to bend the rules and adjust before the season starts and get 20 cars on the track. I think I know which way realistically we're going to go, and I wouldn't be surprised that if by the time we get to our next testing session, if we don't see a change in the regs.
I think there is going to have to be a change, and one of the things that we've also seen is the issues with porpoising, with the cars going up and down on the front stretch. I think that has an issue with, they've got the wings tilted up now to try to funnel the air underneath the cars, but it's also causing a disturbance. That's going to be the big talking point of this season of how do you deal with that, how do you mitigate it, and how do you keep the wheels on the ground for maximum grip.
It's definitely going to be a challenge. Mm-hmm. But I feel like somebody's going to be able to figure it out. But
I think
F1,
the first team that does figure it out is going to have a huge advantage over everybody else.
Yeah, because F1 is definitely a sport of innovation. So if somebody figures something out, then that team's definitely going to have the advantage, like you said. I feel like it will probably be Red Bull.
We'll see. Allegedly, they're the ones that are the most overweight. So, but also we don't know what their car has done because they didn't push it that hard.
The Red Bull's a thick car. Oh man.
Yep. Thick boy.
Thick boy.
But of course, we'll see how those cars run. Hopefully, we'll see a good race. I don't know what the overtaking is going to be like. That's going to be
that's the main thing I'm worried about. Can these cars overtake?
If they can't overtake without the aid of DRS again this season, it's really going to be a question of, okay, what are we doing here? Because we've lost the plot somewhere when it comes to making these race cars do race car things.
Yeah. Because we want to see our racing. We want to see our overtaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which team do you guys think is going to have the advantage going into... Because we're done with testing now with Barcelona. We'll go into Bahrain soon. Who do you think is going to have the advantage once we get finished with that test?
I don't know. Yeah. I guess it depends on how true to the plan the cars are that we saw on track last week. I mean, it's obviously just speculation, but people are saying that the cars are close to what the teams are actually planning to bring, but not the actual car. I don't think that there's much truth in that. I think that the cars that we saw are pretty close to what we're going to see on track when the season starts. Maybe there's a little test data that comes back to the factories and some slight adjustments being made, but I think you look at that and you have to take that testing with a pinch of salt, because no one's really giving their all by any means.
Yeah.
But Lewis came away with the fastest time. Whether that's something that we need to take into consideration or not, I think that the teams that have historically been towards the top, which is Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, it seemed like those were the fast four when we were testing. So I would have to say that I think, if I was to pick, I'd say the fast four.
And I think that's our hope, right? That all four of those teams are somewhat close when we get to the end of Q3 at Bahrain. Can make for an interesting race, because it was only a 2-car race for most of last season. It was a 1-car race for a lot of the years prior to that.
Yeah.
If we can have 4 teams battling it out a la 2012 again, it's going to create some dramatic action. And I don't think Drive to Survive will know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
Well, they only have 3 teams' perspective on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I hope that we have a 4-team, at least 4 teams that are really in the running. But Haas didn't look good, which is not good. But I think realistically, when it comes down to developing this car, you've got a team like Haas who said, we're committing 100% to the 2022 car. And this was last season, obviously. But at the end of the day, you can commit all your resources to it, but you're only as good as the team developing the car. And that's where Mercedes and Red Bull are far superior. And then you've got Ferrari and McLaren as like tier 2. But at the end of the day, Mercedes, Red Bull threw very little at this car. But when you have Newey, who's designing your car, you are instantly better than at least 5 of the cars on the grid. And that's just when it comes down to who's running your program. And that's why I think you're going to have the top teams who are going to have little to no rollover. And I think they're going to pick up where they left off last year, more or less.
Well, we'll get testing in Bahrain in a week, and then we will go to the Bahrain Grand Prix to get this season underway. And St. Petersburg Grand Prix was also on Sunday. The IndyCar teams are currently out in Texas getting ready for their first oval race of the season. But I knew Scott McLaughlin was going to win a IndyCar race at some point. I did not expect him to win that race in such a dominating fashion, where he was on the pole, led for most of the day. He didn't really put a wheel wrong during that St. Petersburg Grand Prix. Picked up his first win.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when it comes to road courses, it's all about not making mistakes. And if it's about consistency, and obviously McLaughlin, coming from supercars, he's one of the most dominant figures that has ever been in the sport. And consistency is something that you need to develop. As a professional racer, he's got it. And like you were saying, he was going to win one. It was inevitable. I just did not foresee him winning the first race of his second season.
Yep.
So now I guess I can overreact a little bit. Do we make him a way too early championship contender at this point? I mean, we got a long way to go until then.
No. I love Scott McLaughlin, but no. If I had to, I'm picking Paluda to back to back it. That's my way too early prediction.
Palou currently sitting second, of course, after the race on Sunday. But a guy who did not have that particularly good of a day, Alexander Rossi was just not really up there, unfortunately. He has been on a skid the last few years, and it looks like this season is more of the same. He only managed a 20th place finish on Sunday. What is going on with our Mr. Rossi?
I don't know. It's I don't know. You got any ideas over there, Michael?
Nah, not at all, to be honest with you.
I feel like he's in his own head at this point. I mean, he's had so many years of just bad luck, and then yet again, more bad luck strikes, and I think it's starting to weigh on him. He's got to find a way to clear his head and just focus in and get back to that driver that we know he can be, because he's got a couple of young teammates that are going to challenge him. And, of course, Roman Grosjean, who's also over there, who had a good run on Sunday. Going to keep him on his toes. So he's going to have to start pushing, but he can't overdrive it and end up putting himself in the wall and putting himself further down the order. Because that is exactly what he cannot afford at this point. Grosjean finished 5th, Colton Herta 4th on Sunday. So they will be off until March 20th, where they'll be going racing in the XPEL 275 at Texas. Hopefully, finally, we'll have a decent IndyCar race at Texas. However, they still got to deal with, unfortunately, the one groove issue. So we'll see what happens there.
So just to interject quick, so for IndyCar, I mean, what would we consider the age cutoff for young gun versus old guard? Would you say 30? Would you go higher or lower?
Once you get over like 25, that's the cutoff.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So do we feel that this is still the young man's game, or do you guys think like Scott Dixon, who didn't necessarily run great? Do we think? I mean, Scott Dixon, you always have to think is a contender. But I mean, Will Power did pretty good. I'm just running down the Grosjean finished pretty well. I mean, what do you guys do? You guys think that this is going to be a young man season, or do you think the old guard is going to stomp back and reclaim the championship?
I would not count out Will Power or Scott Dixon at all. I know Power has struggled the last couple of years with slow starts for his season. He got a good finish on Sunday, so that helps him break that stigma. We'll see what happens, though, at Texas. And Scott Dixon, you can never count him out at all. He's going to be in it somehow, some way, going towards the end of the year. And I think those veteran drivers are going to have a chance. They're going to challenge for it going into this season. I don't think either of them are done yet.
Yeah, so I'm just looking, and Young Guns finished 2, 4, and 6. I mean, that's a pretty good showing from the 25 and under crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Will Power, Grosjean, Scott Dixon. I mean, they were all up there in the top 10 too. But I don't know, just curious. It'll be interesting to see how it develops, and I guess an interesting thing to watch throughout the season is how the old guard does, because obviously the young man won it last year.
So now we come into this weekend. NASCAR will be the only series of focus as they get ready to run at Las Vegas. We know that track before the high downforce package. Turn 2, Turn 4 were the treacherous spots, especially coming off Turn 4 with the weight transfer. How it kind of slings the car over as they come out of that turn. The new next-gen car, we know they don't have the rear grip that they used to. That's probably going to be Calamity Corner this week.
Yeah, it might be, honestly.
Absolutely.
So I'm expecting to see a little bit more bent up, I would say sheet metal, but I guess bent up composite. Although we haven't seen that many cars really get bent due to accidents with this stronger body, but I'm expecting to see a little bit more cautions than usual. I'm not expecting a race like Auto Club only because this track gets a little bit more use, a little bit more rubber down. What about you guys? Do you think we're going to see a race similar to last Sunday, or will it be a little bit cleaner?
I think every race we go to is going to get a little bit cleaner for at least probably the first handful, and then we'll get back to where it's pretty normal. But they got to get used to, they've practiced with these cars, but even in a practice, if you try to simulate race conditions, you're not actually running in race conditions. So I think we need probably 5-6 good intermediate track runs before we're back to, what I would consider like full strength, like maximum efficiency when it comes to, how these guys feel about the cars, the trust in them, and their ability to keep them clean.
So who do we think picks up the win this week? Last year, this is where Kyle Larson shut me up when I said I didn't think he was going to win a race at all last season. That would not be the last time he would shut me up during the year. But this was where Kyle Larson picked up his first win. The Fords have been looking strong, or been looking a little bit strong. The Chevys have been really tough. Toyota, though, not a good run for them. A lot of overheating issues. Hopefully that is solved when they go to Vegas. Who do we got this week?
You want to go first, Michael?
You can go first because I honestly don't know. I saw the 43 compete for a win.
That's I know. And you know what? I was so proud of that team for that too. Like I was pumped for them. And now Petty GMS, that was a good running for what I would, put an asterisk next to new team. But
I saw Richard Childress' car dominate the race, so I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, things are kind of flipped on their head right now.
Speaking of Childress, did you see that he's sending millions of rounds of ammunition over to Ukraine?
Yes, I did.
I mean, it doesn't make up for him making Tyler Reddick denounce racists on Twitter, but I guess it's a little good press for him. But I'm going to pick Ryan Blaney, though I truly think Kyle Larson will go back-to-back. Unfortunately for you guys, I swept nearest the win last week, so I can't pick Larson. But, so I'm going to go with YRB himself, young Ryan Blaney.
Also did get the points for Larson last week. I'm going to take Tyler Reddick. I think he showed me a lot last Sunday, and I think he's going to be coming into this race with a lot of anger. He had a race that was in the bag until the left rear gave up on him. I'm going to take Reddick to win in Vegas.
I'm going to throw a wild card out there. Kurt Busch.
Ooh, that's real wild.
Yeah, that's
Kurt Busch did sneak up in there for a top 10.
That is real wild.
That is a real wild card.
So as you can see, these NASCAR races are going to be a little bit difficult to pick going forward, and I think we like that the most because it means that the next gen car is actually doing what it's supposed to do. But if you want to get in and try to decide who you think is going to win this race, make sure #nearest the win with who you have running or have winning this week's race in Las Vegas. And folks, for the last 7.5 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans. With your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iSportsRadio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one, starting at just $5 a month, will get you a shout-out on all 32 of our shows, Higher tiers include iSports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to feature on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all so very much for continuing to make iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And of course, I'm at DK Jr. 12. Chris is at Fiji Sims. Michael's at Michael_Wart25 if you want to talk to us on Twitter. And make sure you keep it locked to our iSports Radio social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you missed any episode of any iSports Radio show, make sure you check it out wherever podcasts can be heard, including our YouTube archive, which has episodes from pretty much the entire history of IE Sports Radio. And of course, make sure you keep it locked to our show Twitter, Extra Mile, IE Sports Radio. So that will do it for this episode of the Extra Mile. For Chris and Michael, I'm Daryl, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.